Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Appreciate you all hopping on for our 2026 Roadmap webinar. We'll give everybody just a few seconds to get online and make sure everybody's good technical wise, and then we'll get going here shortly. Looking through the chats, we're seeing people from all over the globe. So thank you to everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to all. I think the furthest I'm seeing so far is the Philippines. Lorraine, thanks for joining. All right, we're a minute in, so I'm going to go ahead for the sake of time and get us started and kick us off. So once again, welcome. We appreciate you all spending the time with us this morning, and we're excited here at Flexera for many reasons that we'll be covering throughout this presentation and throughout this session. So kick us off, introducing myself, Troy Baker, Vice President of Sales here in North America, partnering across 3 of our primary verticals here in 2026. I have the pleasure of introducing Becky Trevino, our Chief Product Officer, who's going to walk through our product roadmap here and ultimately this webinar. So a few housekeeping items first before we get into the good stuff. Just so that you know, the session is being recorded and we will share that link. So if there's something that either you have to step away for, or if there is something that you want to go back and look through the details with, that'll be headed your way afterwards. We do have all attendee microphones and videos turned off just for the sake of getting through the webinar. And I will be watching, and our team will be watching the Q&A specifically very intently. Please feel free to jump in at any point in time. You don't have to wait till the end for Q&A. Any point in time, feel free to jump in there and we'll get back to you. With that being said, Becky, I'm going to turn it over to you to get us going.
Wonderful. Hello, I'm really excited to be on with so many of you. And I'm some of the people that really likes engaging with an audience. So I've been on the chat, reading just where everybody's from. So we have some folks in from Chicago, Manila, Chile. Chile's been on my to-do list of places that I want to visit. So I may say hello. We have somebody I've actually met in person, Stephen Jorts out of Houston. So I'm really excited to have so many of you here. All right, so I'm going to get us started. I'm going to mostly give you just an introduction of Flexera. So we've had a variety of different webinars. If you're a Flexera customer, we had a customer webinar yesterday that dived deep into the customer experience. If you're a Flexera partner, we had a Flexera partner webinar this week. And this is a webinar we're catering a lot of the material to somebody who is getting to know Flexera, getting to know us and wants to hear what our value proposition and wants to hear where we're diving deep and how we think about AI, particularly for the industries we serve, which is IT asset management, FinOps, as well as IT operations. So as we look into this, I'm going to start off by giving you an introduction of who we are, talking through some exciting announcements that we've made as an organization, talking you through Flexera's product vision, because whenever you're making a decision about whether or not you want to have a vendor join your ecosystem to be the piece of software that you rely on within your organization, I always tell customers and prospects, dive deep into the product vision, because that's really important. If you don't agree with that product vision, you're never going to like the roadmap. Then we're going to give you a highlight of what's coming in the first half of 26. We're going to talk a bit about what this means for you, what some actions that we think you should take. As to part of this is me giving you an overview of Flexera, but also part of this is as IT asset management professionals, as FinOps professionals, Flexera has an obligation as a leader within this industry to drive what we call thought leadership, because we want to shape the way these jobs are done, particularly in the agentic AI future. So we want to give you some thoughts in terms of how you should shape your role, and then we're going to take some Q&A. All right. I always start with a mission for many of you who are trying to get to know Flexera. And for those of you who already known us, how are we updating the way we think about ourselves in an AI-first world? Well, recently, Flexera's CEO and I spent a lot of time on these 2 boxes you see on this slide. We talked about our mission, our vision, and what did the impact of AI and the acceleration of agentic really mean for Flexera. So we decided it meant 2 things. One is that the core thing we stood for, our mission, will remain the same. We exist to maximize the value of technology for the world's technology buyers and sellers. That means that we're not just here to help you drive savings, for you to be a cost center. It's like, oh, every day you have a savings target. We want you to make sure you're delivering a positive return on investment on the technology you use, that you're enabling your organization to optimize to innovate. We also look at a perspective of, well, how is AI going to change? And what we believe AI is going to change is that a foundation of what we do today, discovery, inventory, that's going to be the bedrock of being the system of intelligence. But 5 years from now, it's not going to be enough. You're going to need us to do more. You're going to need us to proactively identify where there's issues, to really take an action on that, to take all of the products in the portfolio and make sure that they have unified data layers, to make sure that they're operating seamlessly as they're coming in, and that we are making you smarter, not only from the perspective of making it easy for you to do your work with AI, but to also help you manage AI spend. So as we dig deeper into this, why should you trust Flexera? For those of you who are our customers, you've been working with us for years. You're one of 50,000 of your peers that have decided that Flexera is a great company to invest in. You've been part of our relationship for 30 plus years. You've engaged with 2,000 plus of our employees. However, as we look through, for those of you who come to meet us, why you? I think a big part of why Flexera comes from the fact of these numbers. Oftentimes, when you're making really big decisions about, do I choose a vendor to work with, you want to choose somebody that's been around for a while. Because when somebody hasn't been around for a while, can you really trust them? Are they going to go out of business? Are they going to be bought by somebody else? What's going to happen? Is the relationship and dynamic going to change? And Flexera has been a standalone company for 30 plus years. We've built numerous customer relationships. We have employees that work with you, trust with you. And this is one of the reasons, overall, if I were developing an RFP and thinking about, should I join Flexera? This is one of those big things that would come in very high for me. I know this because I'm in many of your shoes. I have really big decisions about what I put into Flexera One. And as I'm choosing that, sometimes some of these startups have some of the best technology available. But the big thing I wonder is, will they be around? And can they be trusted to form a foundation of my platform? The other part I think about as you're getting to know us, who is Flexera, is why now? Why should my company invest in Flexera? And so to give you a piece of, to answer that question, I'm like, why don't I ask the people who already use my products? So we talked about, with our customers and asked them, where are you getting the most value from Flexera? And this is how they responded. The majority of our customers are actively using Flexera to improve their technology budgets. For many of them, they're reining in and ensuring cost control, ensuring that their product teams aren't buying technology they don't use, that their marketing teams aren't using duplicates technology from here and there. They're really driving that cross-functional relationships with line of business. But most importantly, a lot of them are really driving that within IT. How do we bring IT together in very large organizations? And then within some of the smaller organizations, we're seeing a lot of work around rationalization, around avoidance. Many of you, particularly if you're in financial industries or highly regulated environments, your primary use cases for us really will go around compliance and risk. It's really critical for you to be able to deliver reports in certain areas, and that's where it's primary. Savings comes first for you. But for all of you, there's this pressure to really be the experts within licensing, within savings, whether you're an ITAM or FinOps, and being able to classify how you're avoiding. Now, hard savings always matter more than soft, but avoidance is definitely an area where the organization wants to see more of the value in what you're doing. So overall, what we're going to focus on today is we're going to share some exciting announcements of how Flexera is evolving in the AI first era. We're going to talk to you about the vision and what we're leading with Flexera One Platform AI and the new capabilities that you can plan to use within 2026. Let's start first with an announcement. Flexera has made 2 strategic acquisitions in the last week. We've acquired a company called ProsperOps. I'm going to give you a little bit of history on ProsperOps. It is an AI-powered FinOps platform. It's also been a company I've admired since about 2018. I remember one of my first weeks on the job sending a note to one of my leaders and saying, we should acquire ProsperOps. Why did I know that? Why did I say that degree of confidence? It was because I'd worked with the founders of ProsperOps at another company. They had helped build the fanatical AWS business at a company I worked at called Rackspace, and they had done a really good job doing so. As a result of that, I knew that they had built a good team and would understand this problem around cloud better than anybody else because they'd built a successful managed service that did that. And lo and behold, from nearly years later after that, we've come to look at their business, and there's so much that I admire about this business. For Stephen, who is part of our customer advisory board, he came in and there was a session we had at our last cab that talked about, look, how do we make the value, just how much we save, just more front and center within Flexera. And when you look at ProsperOps in the direction that I'm going to show you some of the screenshots, you see where they put that in. So if you're a FinOps, in FinOps, or if you're an ITAM and thinking about how I can put a wedge into FinOps, how can I sit there and make a foundation? ProsperOps is definitely an area for you to dig into. Chaos Genius. Chaos Genius solves a problem I actually have, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to acquire this company. Flexera One is powered by Databricks, and our Databricks costs, like everybody else on this call, are getting higher and higher. And the impact of that is that it eats into the ability for myself and Flexera's chief technology officer to hire. It constrains our roadmap because as these costs rise, we can't actually come in and hire more engineers, hire more product managers to deal with this. So ourselves, we were looking for a solution to rein in the Databricks costs. We were also talking to some of our FinOps customers, some of our large customers in the cabs, like, this is the problem you need to solve now. And so we started building capabilities on here. We actually made a release of Databricks and cloud cost optimization this past December. And then we realized sometimes in product management, you have to think about whether to build, partner, or buy. And in this case, it was going to take us longer to get you the functionality you needed than if we just bought Chaos Genius. So in essence, we bought Chaos Genius. I'm implementing Chaos Genius at Flexera right now. We actually implemented as part of our POC. We saw some pretty quick savings. So for those of you who are looking for, I need to deliver something quick, I need to deliver something that doesn't require me to do a lot of work, definitely talk to Troy and team about ProsperOps and Chaos Genius. This is some really good ways to deliver value quickly within your roadmap. Overall, let's talk about how this fits in the broader portfolio, because some of the other feedback I get from our customer advisory boards and many of you that I have conversations with, our customers, is how does this fit, Becky? And the reality is for you, particularly those of you that are diving deep and learning more about FinOps, we say the word FinOps and it seems really easy, but when you dive in and open the kimono on what is actually FinOps, you see these complete areas. There's problems that you need to solve within FinOps itself, and companies being built specifically to solve each one of these little boxes that you see on the screen. And that's where we're trying to create a one place to go to solve all of your FinOps problems. So for instance, for organizations that are starting their FinOps journey around inform, optimize, and operate, oftentimes what you need to do is be able to, the basics of mapping your cloud spend, that budgets and allocation. For organizations that are trying to do more advanced parts of visibility, governance, and compliance, particularly for those of you in EMEA, you're starting to dig into cloud sustainability. This was a capability we launched in 2025. You're also putting pressure on us. There's a whole part of FinOps that are evolving for FinOps for AI. How do you do this? We actually did some recent releases around AWS. Also, because Flexera has the ability to see your on-premises environments and your cloud environments, we see a 1 + 1 = 3, where we're seeing a lot of you spend unnecessarily and pay as you go licenses when you already have licensing agreements. So we've built a capability called Cloud License Management to help you drive that license optimization. For ProsperOps, we see this clearly within an area called rate optimization that falls into two categories: discount management and spot instances. We see discount management as ProsperOps falling nicely in there, and I'm going to give you a little bit more detail as to what that looks like. What that looks like for us is moving in quickly around not just rate optimization, but workload optimization. You see where Chaos Genius gives you that Snowflake and Databricks optimization, but you also see the areas here where we have right sizing and auto scaling. So FinOps is this very big thing. And you, as part of, I always tell our customers and prospects, as you're building out your program, you need to crawl, walk, run. Depending on your maturity, you need to decide what's number one for you. And crawl might be, you know what, in 2026, I'm gonna attack rate, because from what I'm hearing on Flexera's webinar today, this is something I can add value quickly, and it's a small slice in which I can start building my FinOps program if I don't have one. If you've already had one and you started establishing that inform, you can sit there and mature, and you can start looking at rate and workload if this isn't something that you do today. So overall, as you look at these FinOps agents to optimize, you see Snowflake and Databricks being these 10-minute setups. Overall, this is how quick we go. 30% optimization of being able to move this in. But I think I must have moved past the slide because there was something I thought I was going to do that didn't pop in. Oh, I guess I got lost in the middle of these. There were some ones around ProsperOps. So for those of you who get in, I'll have to.
We do have a question in ProsperOps if you want to flip back one, just while we're on it. The question is ultimately just asking for some elaboration of what we mean by rate optimization here for discount management and how ProsperOps helps achieve that.
Overall, for rate management, you are oftentimes, for a lot of, whenever you buy AWS, you end up having to purchase. You're purchased in some way, shape, or form in bulk. You're able to sit here and purchase and look at, well, what exactly I'm making this decision to buy, to commit to a certain amount of money on AWS. And you have to make those commits. Every year I have a commitment that I've made, in particular as a vendor to AWS, and I'm either committing those or not committing those in the right way. And with discount management, it allows you to properly use the mechanism in which AWS offers to make sure that you're getting the most value across those solutions. I missed that slide, so we'll go deeper into the Flexera product vision. I'll see if I pop up some different ones later on. But overall, the Flexera product vision for us is, our goal is to answer every question about technology spend and risk. We want you, if you use a cohesive view of all of our products, we want you to be able to answer questions easily. Like, what is the past spend for vendor X? Am I compliant with my contracts? Where do I have out of that tech debt if I'm in hardware? Do I have redundant software vendors if I'm in software? What is my spend across cloud and SaaS if you're using SaaS and cloud technologies? What's the TCO of this production app? How is our AI rollout and adoption trending? All of these are questions that your C-suite has, and that takes you data to be able to answer. And we want to be that system of intelligence that gives you the data to be able to answer these questions, but also quickly enables you the opportunity to automate a lot of these things in the future. Now, how do we do that? Well, in order to do that, you have to optimize your on-premises environments, your cloud environments, and your AI in one place. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this webinar today, is that your jobs are getting harder. So many of you who are joined today, maybe you want to put that in the chat so we can say where exactly you sit in the organization. Are you in IT asset management? Are you in IT? Are you in procurement? Are you in FinOps? And give us a little bit of your sense of where you see this problem coming in. If you're in IT asset management, you can stay very comfortable. My remit is hardware and software. If you've been on these webinars before, you've heard me very clearly say, if you're in ITAM, you really need to be managing SaaS. You need to find a way to add that to your roadmap. If you're in FinOps and you're part of the FinOps Foundation, you see very loud and clear from the FinOps Foundation that your remit is increasing. Your remit is going to saying, look, you need to think about SaaS, and not in the way that an IT asset manager thinks about SaaS. You need to think about Databricks and Snowflake and all that platform as a service costs that are coming up. And you also need to think about AI. Those are important for you. You need to grow your remit. So if we don't do either of those two things as ITAM or FinOps professionals, and you also have ITAM teams that also need to think about AI, particularly as it's embedded in SaaS management. If we do neither of those, pretty soon we're going to look into a world that is going to build a new teams. It's going to be AI spend ops, because ITAM and FinOps failed to take on the responsibility of getting ahead of AI spend management. Somebody has to own it within organizations. And let me talk to you a little bit about why I think that. Why is this the opinion of Flexera? We think that technology spend for most organizations, and we have data that supports that, is the second largest spend after people. But the direction that we're seeing the market going is that AI vendors, FinAI, Anthropic, even our existing critical vendors, if you see anything from ServiceNow right now, from IBM, from Salesforce, it's all agent, AI, AI. Figma, we're big users of Figma in our user experience team. My VP of user experience trying to figure out, well, do I use anything within Figma Make? Where do I come in? Should I be paying for this? Atlassian, when it's being Rovo capabilities, all of them are building AI capabilities within the product. Should you be using them? Microsoft, Copilot, the other things, all of these are increasing the amount of spend you have. If you're SaaS management, in 2019, Gartner forecasted about each SaaS, on average, you were spending about $550 per employee on SaaS management. Today, 2025, you're spending about $1,850. Multiply that by the X amount of employees that you have going on in your organization, and that's an increase. Did you decrease on premises as a result of moving those? We don't know. Or are you just simply spending more? Now you add AI to the equation, and they're looking to make AI the largest source of spend after the organization. We can no longer afford the silos. AI spend is driving the largest tech budget in history. It's shifting the budget from places to go. And most boards are telling a lot of your leaders, you don't get extra money. The kitchen is closed. You have to find new ways to drive AI transformation. So this means we've hit a new maturity. We've been looking at cloud since 2006 when AWS launched and Salesforce said no software. And we're seeing this trend. It's maturing. Cloud and SaaS are still growing. They're growing fast. We're spending a lot on AWS, Salesforce, ServiceNow. But the AI spend is growing faster. $644 billion forecasted global AI spend. This is too big of a problem for you to ignore in your roles. I always tell ITAM and FinOps pros that you should run your teams the way that product management runs software companies. We have roadmaps that we share with you, that you have quarters and timelines and what you expect that we're going to deliver on that. That's the way you should run your businesses and your practices. You should tell the business what to expect, and you should be giving a forecast and a market trend about what's the AI impact and how is Flexera going to help you solve that challenge. For us, we have an opinion at Flexera that many of you are struggling to control technology and spend today. Now, there's many reasons why you are. Typically, this isn't just your technology. As we know with any technology, it's people, process, technology. And oftentimes, it's the people and the process that hold you back even more than the tech. But if you don't have the right tech in place, it doesn't matter if you get the people and process, they're all important. But what holds you back often is the siloed people, the processes, and the fact that, hey, the technology I bought only covers one part of the lens. But the reality is you have to understand what's going on in your financial budgets. In general, when we look at customer environments, we still see 30% of waste in your desktop, 28% of waste in data center, 27% of waste in cloud, 25% of wasted spend in SaaS. And now you got explosive spend in AI. You're going to have to treat your company budgets like you would your home budget. In your home budget, if you knew that you needed to spend a lot on a new remodel, guess what? You probably weren't going to make a decision to buy a new car. You were going to sit there and try to make your old car work. In general, organizations really need to look holistically at their technology spend and figure out how they're going to rein in these other areas. You have to optimize your existing environments in order to innovate. This is your challenge. I don't care what your title says, ITAM or FinOps. If you are not aligning your work in 26 to these critical initiatives, every C-level is thinking about AI transformation. It is about any given day, it's the 1, 2, or 3 item I've already thought about in my head by 9 a.m. It is the same thing with all of my peers, any C-level leader. CIOs are going to get fired by not driving AI transformation sooner. CEOs, chief product officers, we know that. As a result of that, you spend money where you're going to get fired about because that becomes your top priority. And if you don't position a story where you're helping in this, your teams are going to start getting defunded. You're not going to drive the transformation you need within ITAM and FinOps. So you need to drive a narrative. That's my job as your vendor, is to help tell you what's going on in the market and build capabilities that enable you to do that. With that imperative, what are we going to do? We're going to help you turn technology questions into business decisions. We got to do the basics. This is the foundation. We got to help you meet your business objectives, help you save money, reduce risk. This is what we've done. We've done this for 30 years. That's why we have 50,000 customers. And we're going to do a stronger job than 26. You're going to hear about this shortly, about bringing the views together around your hardware, software, SaaS, cloud, and AI. And the benefit that you get with Flexera, why Flexera is really about the business context, bringing that data around your business units, your regions, your departments to that technology asset data. That's how we're able to free up to 10% of spend for a lot of your peers. Heck, I have a customer, I meet with this customer every month, the most mature customer in my portfolio. You know how much he saved for his organization last year? $58 million between hard and soft savings. He's looking at all aspects of this. Overall, that's the potential. Now, he showcases that in a really robust way that's enabled him to grow his business, to get promoted with using Flexera technology. It is a joy to see him. I learn something every day I walk into that executive meeting. Overall, how are we shifting? So overall, what we need to build for you, and we have this is the foundation of Flexera One, is that complete and accurate inventory of the technology you build and buy. And for years, we've been enriching it with expertly curated data. If you talk to any partner with an ITAM and FinOps space, they're going to tell you Flexera is the best data in market. That's why they win. What we're adding in the AI era is this concept of technology intelligence, AI insights. That Flexera is aware of your business context so you can understand how the technology is being used across the organization. That's critical. But that's not enough. You need to drive that context and give the agents that information so that they can be autonomous, so that they can actually perform the technology optimization at scale on your behalf. And you see that direction with the acquisitions we're taking, which is moving us more toward autonomous nature. I'm building that and working with that with the organization at scale, but there's some pieces we're going to do, but this is the direction we're heading. And you need that. You need to partner with a vendor. Somebody was saying in the chat about, hey, I'm on here. Or the reason I'm on here is I'm trying to make a decision because I want to build a FinOps practice. You need to choose a vendor that's thinking forward. And the way we're thinking forward is really delivering those insights with AI for you, the chat with your data, the tailored insights for every user, but also the agents, the contract ingestion agents, building on the new releases we did into 25, rate optimization, data cloud, container optimization. These are key, enabling agentic to do the work on your behalf. This is going to be the game changer for technology in 26 and beyond. Overall, what should you expect from us from 26, and what did we deliver for our customers in 25? I always like to realize 25 because when you talk to a customer about, well, tell me your future roadmap, you should be like, what did you deliver last year? Because the past is usually an indicator of the future. So for us, and for most of you, this is a prospect webinar. Remember, for my customers, you should listen to some of the customer webinar. There'll be some overlap, but some differences in the talk track. You need to really look at this as a Flexera One portfolio. I talked about this vision about being this system of intelligence, but to be a system of intelligence with AI in particular, you need really good data. I'm exploring AI every day. My meeting at 8 a.m. was with somebody I'm looking at, specifically focused on AI ways of working within Flexera, how we improve the way product management does its work. And the gentleman I've assigned to this, he's running up against a wall. And that wall is we're using world-class tooling here at Flexera. But that world-class tooling is only as good as what? The data we're inputting into it. And if the data isn't there, the results aren't there. Junk in, junk out when it comes to data. At Flexera, every acquisition we've made has been about collecting data. That's the foundation, the core part of what we do. You look all across the business. It's from on-premises data all the way to cloud data, all the way to data clouds, PaaS. We're going all across your technology steps to put that in. And we're putting all of that into our technology intelligence platform. It's this data and analytics platform. It's going to be our foundation for AI. That's going to then give us the backbone to be able to drive agentic. As you think about developing a relationship with a new provider, I talked about, well, what have they released in the past that should make you excited? Well, overall, we've gotten into the Gartner Magic Quadrant leading position with Flexera One SaaS management. We brought together the two market-leading providers in for SaaS, Flexera and Snow Software, and built them into one common solution. We recently met with the leadership team at Gartner and has gotten some really positive feedback on how we've evolved this product. Within IT asset management, we've been a consistent leader within this space. Nobody does effective license positions run IBM, Oracle, SAP better than Flexera. And anybody tells you that, and I know there's all the webinars, it isn't. Nobody does this better than Flexera. And we're doing really strong things here around improving in our APIs, because that's been a key one there, driving in ITV integration, which is one of our key products, and really innovating AI invoice ingestion within IT asset management was our number one used product capability around AI. If you're not using this today, guess what? It's free. And if you're a customer of ours on this webinar and on the platform, use it. Your peers are getting a lot of value out of it. IT visibility, this is the ability to essentially, the way I describe IT visibility, it's ITAM, give you that discovery and inventory without having to worry about effective license positioning, all the costs that you just really want a discover at scale and the reports, et cetera, that go with it. So within here, we've done in some GraphQL, some query gens, a Jira service management, enabling you to put that asset, or even for those of you who are transitioning from ServiceNow, BMC, other places into Jira. And within cloud cost optimization, we talked about AI. This was something big that we did. For many of you within FinOps, you're starting to lean in on partners to help support building out your practices. We've made that easy for you. Cloud sustainability was a big ask coming out of EMEA, and we delivered that for you, as well as some new tooling around cloud migration and containers. What should you think about what we did in 25? I'm really proud of the work that we did around AI entitlements ingest that's evolving into purchase order, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing there with contracts. But we've done some really strong work around AI spend forecasting anomaly detection, which in cloud cost optimization. We built the query AI for GraphQL for IT visibility. We made it easier to use our docs with the AI documentation chatbot. And within AI categorization for SaaS management, our own CIO uses this at Flexera to be able to monitor our own usage of AI, LLMs. There are some that he's deemed unsanctioned, and he utilizes our own product to be able to help him figure out what we should or should not be using. Overall, what to look for in the first half of 26 from Flexera is really three pillars. We're going to focus on improving our experience across the products, that data foundation. Again, that's so key. We have the world's best data in this market segment, and we're building an enhanced data layer to make it easier for you to use that. That's being purpose-built for the new era that we're heading in from AI and APIs that need to change to adapt to an AI-first world, as well as AI capabilities that work with you and for you. Overall, one of the big things we need to do is we're streamlining the Flexera One navigation. As we've made acquisitions over the last couple of years, there's some areas in which we can improve, and we think that this is one that'll just make that life easier for all of you. We're going to make the static kind of common top end for users, and then we're going to make it dynamic based on what your role is within the organization. A couple, you said, I'm ITAM, I'm FinOps, so we're going to make that a dynamic nav. And then we've been purposeful around AI, because what I've noticed is that we're building capabilities. And when I have meetings with several of you, you're like really excited to use them and you start using them. But we need to find different ways to make that easy for you to see and digest. And so we're making these AI intelligent recommendations within your nav. And this is the direction in which we're heading. Then loud and clear, many of you are like, oh, I'm kind of AI'd out every time I talk to a vendor, every time I get on LinkedIn, every time I get the news, it's AI, AI, AI. So want to be really careful, because as an AI innovation webinar, I want to talk to you really clearly about what we're aiming to do with AI. We are here to do three things that our customers have asked us for, and that our research supports is a valid way forward. We need to play to our strengths. Many of you need a data foundation for AI. You need us to deliver clean, curated, contextualized data to power your own internal AI solutions. That's number one. That's the basic foundation. Like, look, if you're going to do nothing more for me and make it easy for me to put Flexera's data into the critical systems that we are utilizing today. Also, if I had to make the next step, I need you to use AI to help me get more done, to be more efficient. Help me give capabilities to help me make it easier for me to reduce spend within my organization, mitigate risk, and just reduce the overall effort I have to do to simply get insights. Help me take more actions. And then Flexera, what's going to make you different? Because the first two things I'm starting to now expect, given the pace in which we're heading with AI. The third, that's the differentiator. Help me manage my AI spend across the IT estate. And we agree with you on all three of those fronts. So what we're doing in 26, if we take those three categories, what you should expect from us is we're continuing to evolve and move the world-class data that we have, the one that makes us Magic Quadrant leaders in FinOps and software asset management and SaaS management. We're evolving that for an AI and API ready data foundation. That is the number one focus into 26. This is a big part of what you're going to see us put in, and you're going to look at us and say, wow, I'm really glad you did that work, because it's going to set you up for the future, the AI first future. Because while we're making an AI transformation at Flexera, as somebody that advises you on how should you do your job, your peers that are really taking AI seriously are starting to mature. They're starting to ask me really big things that they need out of the product. As a result from that, you're going to take learnings from this in 26 and be able to benefit from them. But you also need to leave this webinar thinking about how you're going to drive transformation within your business. Second, per your ask, you need us to deliver capabilities that deliver real ROI, return on investment. You need faster answers. You have a compliance and risk question. You need us to make it easy for you to chat with Flexera the way you're chatting with ChatGPT. So we're delivering the Data Explorer. This is available first in ITV, and then we're working across the year to make this available within all of the platform products. And so this is going to enable you to have some of those conversations that you need to have. Within IT Asset Management, we're releasing ITAM Assist, as well as we're evolving the AI entitlements ingestion into contract ingestion. Within cost optimization, FinOps Assist will launch this year as well. We're also developing smarter automation for rate optimization, so automated discount management, workload automation, automated Databricks, and Snowflake optimization utilizing these agents. Overall, let's talk a little bit more about what Flexera One Data Explorer looks like. It's the ability to ask in plain language, get instant actionable insights, drive faster decisions, and it makes it accessible for all. We want to empower every user to explore and customize your data in the way that you want to. Again, for a lot of these, particularly if you're one of our customers, Stephen, I'm looking at you. As we release these, we're going to really have some conversations with you about how we can improve them. I'll give you a little bit of context. Is our AI entitlements ingestion. We had to release a first version of it. The first version is not as good as the version we have now. So don't try it once and say, oh, that's bad. Keep going back to the models. Every iteration, every release, we're making them better and better. AI-powered contract ingestion, what some of your peers are experiencing. This right here, if you're in IT asset management, one of the reasons we built entitlement ingest was because I see this as one of the biggest challenges within ITAM. I remember asking our CIO, and I said, look, I want to be a critical piece of software for you. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? And he goes, Becky, these entitlements, they're so challenging. And I go, great. Guess what? There's all this new AI work. I think I can solve this problem in a different way with AI. What do we do? And so we've been evolving this, and so many of you are getting value from this. Again, this is available in Flexera One. It's just part of the base cost. So what your peers are seeing that are using this is 10x faster invoice ingestion, 3x faster contract ingestion. Pretty much for every invoice you're uploading, we see an average time of 14 minutes saved. For every contract, 20 minutes saved. This has been the golden feature. This is probably, I'm not supposed to say this because all of my products are my children, but it's probably my favorite thing that we've built this year. And I think it's one of those that you should be using, particularly if you're an ITAM customer. ITAM Assist is really, you'll see this both is an evolution. It sits in partnership with Data Explorer, but it dives deep into saying, look, our customers don't just want us to feed them reports. They want to be able to ask questions, get the insight faster. They want summaries and detailed analysis on that insight. They want us to do more of the work around telling them where to go. So that's what you're going to see with ITAM Assist, and in a similar fashion with FinOps Assist. being able to get those summary insights and the data analysis within those particular product lines, as well as having data explorer across all of Flexera One. The other ones we talked about, ProsperOps, AI-powered rate and workload optimization. You see really nicely here within ProsperOps the ability to see that effective savings. One of the value props within our ProsperOps teams is we say you can achieve up to 55% effective saving rates, and they track that really quickly within the product. You can see, for example, this one is 42.5%. What we're doing right now, then we have looking at Databricks and Snowflake infrastructure. We're also looking at the managing your AI adoption and spend, understanding the AI you buy and the AI you spend. We believe that this is one of those areas that will clearly make us differentiate because we have the data to be able to do this and to dive deep. What this means for you. We have Michael Bratz who said something to us in the comments. You're like, look, your competitors are doing the same. What makes you different and better? What could make you potentially behind someone? Look, I have a lot of respect for my competitors. I think everybody goes into them. In fact, I used to work for a competitor of Flexera's called Snow Software before I became his chief product officer. And at Snow, we would win against Flexera on some parts of experience, which is why you see the experience coming in as being an area in which we come in. But when I became the leader at Flexera, what I realized that Flexera did better than I ever did, and I did not know that, was the data. Flexera cares about its data, and it's the foundation of its data in a way no one else does. And when you're an ITAM pro, a FinOps pro, and an IT ops, you're only as good as that meeting you walked into with clear data. If you walk into an audit, if you walk into a meeting with an engineer and they sniff that something isn't right, you've lost all credibility within an organization. So our differentiator is making that place all in one. Within FinOps, we're building the most robust FinOps platform to give you all of the capabilities. Within ITAM, we're making the most robust, and I don't see anybody else doing that work. I think that's what makes Flexera, is we believe that being able to see all of your technology in one place is what makes it special. We think that where we need to evolve in an AI-first world is the ability to sit here and see the visibility, see where all of your technology, but that's not going to be enough. It's going to be able to do actions on it and to be able to deliver value quickly. It's not going to be acceptable to say, hey, here's just my Excel reports. We're going to have to drive more action. We're going to be able to quickly look at the insights, make a recommendation, and to push a button to take action and make that happen and to make it repeatable. We're going to be moving to a world where the human's in the loop and the agents are going to do significantly more work on our behalf. But those agents will never know what to do correctly if that data foundation isn't there. And for a company that spent the last 30 years building its data foundation, I have complete confidence that we've built the strongest data backbone in order to be equipped for the AI era. So that's where we're standing our ground on, and that's what I firmly believe in, and that's the future of Flexera. And that's why I believe that if you're not a customer of Flexera today, it's why you should be. Overall, when you're scaling AI transformation, I think a big part that you need to drive home to your teams is this ability to optimize, to innovate. You need to scale AI transformation, figure out where your starting point is. You need to align yourself to top business initiatives. If you're seen as a team that in no way is aligning to what your organization's 2026 priorities are, you know what you're going to see happen to your team? You're going to get shrunk little by little. The peers of yours that I see align their roadmap, their ITAM and or FinOps roadmap, and in some case, many of you own both and lead both, align your business priorities to what's important to your CIO. You're the ones getting promoted. You're the ones where your team's growing, not shrinking. You're the ones growing with Flexera. This is the advice I tell all of you. I also really give you this view that you need to sit here and figure out new ways to get that completeness and accuracy of inventory. We're working on those, and we need to partner with you via your customer success teams to help you get access to more of that data. Finally, I think you need to look at the way that we automate key processes to drill the stronger risk posture and material technology savings. You need to really define what's the definition of success for you. What's going to make your program and practice successful? Based on those starting points, really develop an adoption and impact phase. At Flexera, we work closely with each of our customers in roadmaps of success like this to ensure that you have a path forward, that you can clearly define how your teams have delivered value to your business. This is really important for us. With that, I'm going to head over so we can ask some questions. I think you're on mute, Troy.
Thanks, Becky. So in the Q&A chat, we've got a common question from a few folks around ProsperOps, ultimately asking, we've mentioned ProsperOps and its ability to automate AWS. And one of the questions is, what about Azure and GCP?
ProsperOps covers them all, Azure and GCP.
Perfect. So that's from Mark and Paul, Mark and Connor. Another question from Michael Hoffman, will there be a Flexera One MCP? I'm going to guess that's a model context protocol in AI.
There is, that's parts that are working in within Flexera One.
Thank you, Becky. Paul Brown asks, have you got a detailed roadmap for new connectors being introduced into SaaS management and also a roadmap for enhancements to existing connectors?
We do. I actually have it here. I think what you should go through, pull it up at the roadmap. And I've just given them more money for connectors. So I'm expecting an update because I saw the roadmap before I gave them some additional funding. So I have seen it. I would say one of those that they're working on. So part of the connector strategy for SaaS management is overall, they're continuing to evolve the connectors that they have already, right? Salesforce, ServiceNow, Adobe, Microsoft, those are really big ones. Those are the most popular ones, the ones we have, and the most complex and the ones we have to get right. But they're also evolving Figma, Dynamics, Zip, Ariba, Workday. So those are some of the ones that they have on the list. I'd advise you, if you are working with a solution success manager, to ping them to just say, look, can I get a deep dive into the SaaS management roadmap? They have overall, there's probably about 6 or 7 slides that go deep into that area of the business. Also, the one I'd ask you to go deep into to get some information is, are you also seeing some challenges around the extension as you're looking at these apps? Like you think about, about Microsoft, are you seeing challenges around Copilot? Do you care about the cost right now? Is it more about adoption? So we're trying to figure that out. We have a couple of our customers who are really concerned about, look, my SaaS bill is skyrocketing. I want to be able to know whether or not this has to do with more of the AI capabilities being built in this. And we want to know how big of a problem is this. Is for some of our larger customers that are just asking this, or is this a pervasive problem around a lot of you? So if you have opinions there, we definitely like to learn more.
Thanks, Becky. Adam's got a question, says, how do I get Google Cloud inventory data into Flexera One to manage its consumption? Not just the Google Cloud we're consuming, but also the software installed on it.
I think what I would say, you should be able to get some of that data in. I have to figure out within Flexera One which of the particular products that you own in order to better answer that question. But what I would suggest you to do is, either raise a ticket with your solution success manager. Somebody will help you out with this if you're a current customer looking through how to better manage this. But across the board, if you're using, cloud cost optimization, that should be something that, should be ready for you to do in your documentation and others. As you're looking, if you're a customer of IT visibility, it depends on the level of cloud discovery that you're looking for within Google Cloud.
Yeah, and I'll just add there, Adam, if you're also looking at software, pay-as-you-go software on GCP, there's an element of cloud license management within our Flexera One platform that would come into play as well. So multiple ways to attack that, and we'll look forward to reaching out and having a conversation with you on it. We answered, Michael, will you be attending ITAM 2026?
I don't know if I'm attending ITAM. I myself am not. I haven't attended in a few years. I liked my last session at ITAM. I think it was in Las Vegas last time I went. But we will get back to you. I think it's one of those that, ITAM Wisdom, ITAM are definitely events that we like to be on top of. But if there's anything you'd like to see from us there, ping us. And we'd like to be able to talk to folks and figure out, what you're looking for at the show. or if you just want to get in touch to see something, demo something, definitely let us know.
Thanks, Becky. There's a question about AI and FNMEA, and ultimately if there's anything from an AI roadmap perspective tied to FNMEA.
I think overall, I built some things within FNMEA, but it's not as robust as some of the work that I'm doing within the platform. So I'd say that one, would love to hear more from you. If you ping us, or we can reach out to you with some of the product managers there to know. I'm always very transparent about what we're doing, what we're not doing. Putting a lot of investments into core ITAM around AI. FinOps is just being transformed by it. And then just the platform overall, I need to build in the frameworks, because I think the platform is where we're just going to be expecting to have a lot of the management of the agents, a lot of the ability of the LLMs to run, particularly if you're somebody that buys multiple products from us. You're not wanting to create a disparate experience. You want a good experience across. So that's where I only have so much money to invest, and that's where I'm really spending a lot of my time. But I would invite you to talk to the FNMEA team and see if there's some areas in which we could solve some of your problems.
Yeah, please reach out and we'll get a better understanding of what you're specifically looking to solve for there. There is a comment here around end of life and it being an important aspect in software licensing, but the fact that it's not included in ITAM standard, that is intentional, I'd say, and I'll take this one just from the sense of our IT visibility solution, which is backed by our technology intelligence platform and Technopedia, is the most robust end of life and into support coverage in the industry. So we do have the ability to help there, and please feel free to reach out and help us understand more what you're looking to accomplish. Now we can help. There is a question around any insights into how Flexera is going to help keep company data confidential and maintaining a strong security posture from an AI perspective as well.
We're committed to keeping your data. We're utilizing a lot of our own data to drive a lot of these trains. Well, that's why it's helpful to have a lot of data within ourselves, so that we can learn of where they come in. So I put myself a lot of times in your shoes. Whenever I think somebody's going to use my proprietary data across things, it makes me weary to share that information. And I know that it makes a lot of you weary. And so we're trying to make our products to be delivered in such a way where we're not having to utilize your proprietary data in order for our systems to learn. So as we've structured AI at this point in time, that's where we are. If you want a review of that, we've created a robust legal perspective here, so you can review that based on your existing company.
Thank you there. This is kind of tied to our AI-powered contract ingest, and this question from Steven is, will there be a way to bulk ingest invoices, POs, and contracts, within the ITAM document ingestion?
It's my understanding of the roadmap that there will be. Steven, I really invite you to work with, and you're on the cab, maybe talk to Nancy about getting some time with Andrew, who's running this, to just walk through that as well and get a sense of what you need there. But it's my understanding that that's what they're looking to do.
Perfect. And there's another question about AI implementation and making sure that it's transparent and in line with data privacy. And I think you answered that one thoroughly on the other question. So let us know if there's further questions there. Does Flexera have AI tech installer evidence, application categorization, and license management?
I believe it does across the board on those. I'd have to know. I think you should talk to somebody in more depth, but across installer evidence, license management, what was the other one that they asked for?
Application categorization.
Yep, we do across the board on those, but I'd really have to know deeper about your specific use case, but at least high level from the categories, I'd say yes. So if you're not working with us today, I think it's worth a conversation to dive deep into those, but I would check the box initially in all of those.
Perfect. Two Snow questions back to back. The first is, are they still going to be standalone or will they be merging? And then the second is, will there be any AI functions added to Snow?
So what we're doing within Snow is bringing the platforms together this year. So a lot of Snow's roadmap is focused in on bringing it into Flexera One. So there is only one, we've made a decision. I know a lot of you have had questions about this. Is Snow going away? Is it not? It's not going away. It's just too much work on our behalf to rebuild it. I've tried to rebuild Snow and Snow License Manager, and it took me 5 years. I'm just not looking to want to do that again. So we're keeping them here. Now, what's going to happen over time is there's going to be some common components between Flexera, ITAM, and Snow that come in there. I always talk about it as it's like a car. If you are not familiar with this, Volkswagen owns Volkswagen and Audi, and they use similar brake systems and steering wheels and radios, but the design of the cars are different. So overall, that's what we're going to move through both of the products. But this is the year that Snow Atlas, for example, gets merged into a Flexera One platform. Now, somebody asked me this on the customer call, is there any cost to you? No, there's not. But there's going to be some benefits. All this AI foundation we're talking about is being built onto the Flexera One platform. There's some AI capabilities, I think somebody asked, that are already in Snow this year. So the AI, contract ingestion, and others, some of the ability to do the categorization, everything that's in SaaS, you get SaaS management. But we're doing all of this work so that we're building it once in one area, and you're able to take advantage of all this data. And somebody asked, because Michael was around just your API. So that's a big focus also within 2026, is just improving the structure of the APIs, both setting that AI foundation, but also because number one, your ask around Flexera AI is, to extract that data to power your own critical systems. And some of that strength needs to happen already. If you're a customer of IT visibility, you've seen them proven that APIs are on GraphQL. And so you'll see further development of those in ITAM and overall broadly into the platform.
Yeah, I was going to tee that one up for you from Michael, so appreciate that one, Michael. With regards to end of life not being part of ITAM standard, let's take that offline and have a discussion about it and how we can help, because understanding that it is an impact, there is an impact there around IBM and subcapacity. We can certainly help. It's just how we do it. So we take it away from which SKU you have as a client, and ultimately what's the targeted outcome you're looking to solve, and then let us help you go solve that. So there's that note from an IBM perspective and end of life. There's a question on, is Flexera ingesting or monitoring price points from what's ingested per product? And if so, from where or how?
This is an area I would like to do a lot more of ingesting price points. There's some things that come into, but we don't do this as much as we'd like. This has always been on the product vision and for me, because I think in the future, if I looked at the vision, something I've wanted to build for a long time was this community intelligence, where this is where we'd have to figure out as a community, do we just ingest price points from different what we can scrape, but also there's some aspects around pricing that it's helpful when you give us data as a community. So I think for about 4 years now, I've wanted to build something like community intelligence where we can all share pricing with one another in some type of way. So I still think that's something I really want to do. It's not been there's always some major thing that comes up ahead of it, but it's still in the back of my mind, a really key area. So we're doing some work there, but I'd love to understand more of your use case around that. I'm happy to myself to talk with you about what you're thinking there, because it's always something I've wanted to do. I've just not prioritized it higher on the roadmap.
Thanks, Becky. Coming up on time, there is one here that Stephen asks, when will we start seeing functionality around message and token usage capabilities for tracking AI spend?
You're going to start seeing some of them in 2026. So definitely work with us. I think the biggest part where you're seeing that, you're already seeing some of that within FinOps. If you're asking this specifically within SaaS management, there's some, we have funded this. So you'll see this probably in the second half of the year, if not sooner, with some early access and betas. But I think the biggest part we're running into there is just the data that's accessible from the vendors itself. So we're actually working with a couple of your peers to have conversations with some of the major vendors, because oftentimes they're building these products, but they're not disclosing that information, their APIs, in a way that we can consume. So we're both building partnerships with some of these vendors, as well as leveraging some of you, of our customers. Some of you, we have access to a lot of these very large customers, and sometimes some of your own purchase power is enabling us to get this information and shaping that. So this is going to be one that's both hindered by our capacity, but also by where the industry is and making a lot of that data available. As well as if you look at AI specific vendors, they're changing their pricing like every couple of months, compared to traditional SaaS vendors that were a bit more weary around changing the pricing structure. So I think that's creating a lot of upheaval and stress in terms of how we can even help managing that.
And the last one, because this can be a quick one, because I believe the answer is a quick yes, but with all the AI capabilities being driven from Flexera data, will there be one content library across all modules? Today, there are two different content libraries that provide conflicting data. So that covers the...
That's a lot of 26. That's a lot of what I'm working for. This is what we talked about, is that data foundation. Is, we are really streamlining the data foundation and really bringing it to life and really making the most use out of it. That's the focus of 26, is you got to, junk in, junk out. So we've collected all this data. Now it's bringing it together in a really great way. And then marrying it with the ability to drive the insights and put it and make it more autonomous. So this is the future of AI for Flexera. I'm really excited about it. I think we have a unique and differentiated position around there. And I look forward to having you use what we build and really providing feedback on what we can do better. We're, like anything, we're learning and playing with a lot of this technology. And, we're going to get some things right. We're going to get some things wrong, but we're going to learn from it all.
Thanks, Becky. Thank you to everybody who joined. Appreciate it. We've already gone over by a minute. If there's any other questions, there are a few that we didn't get to. I've put my email in the Q&A, and please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to get you all connected with the appropriate team to get those answered. And with that, we're excited to get 2026 fully rolling here at Flexera, and we will talk to you all soon. Thank you. Take care.